A very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much indeed for joining this Department for International Trade, UK TVET and Vocational Education and Training Showcase. My name is Jonathan Ledger. I'm the TVET Specialist for the Department for International Trade, and it's my pleasure to welcome our speakers. We have on board for you today Ranjith, but he's from City of Glasgow College, and he's going to be sharing a case study with us. And following him will be Tristan Kemp from the ECITB Global Team. So without further ado, just leaves me to remind you that if you have any questions, please put them in the chat function, and we will have a Q&A session at the end of the two presentations. The whole session will be about 30 minutes this morning, and we hope that you very much enjoy it. So over to Ranjith for his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen from UK, and good afternoon to colleagues who's joining us from ASEAN. 2020 has been a challenging year for every one of us who's joined in this call. I'm sure every one of us have a little story to share. Over the next 10 minutes, I will be sharing a little story from our end in the form of a little case study. My name is Ranjith Sankarayanan. I'm the project manager for international programs at City of Glasgow College. I'm also an associate lecturer for education and humanities. Jonathan, next slide, please. Thank you. So, next slide, please. City of Glasgow College is Scotland's largest college. We enroll over 32,000 students annually, 10,000 full-time students, and we have over 110 international partners across 30 different nations. We have 130 plus student nationalities studying with us across 4 different academic faculties: Faculty of Education and Humanities, Faculty of Creative Industries, Faculty of Hospitality and Leisure, and Faculty of Nautical, Marine Engineering, and STEM. We have courses, over 2,800 courses in our college, which starts from school leavers, National Progression Awards, modern apprenticeship programs, and up to the access to postgraduate level programs as well. Our 2 world-class award-winning campuses, one right at the city center of Glasgow, at City Campus, which was built in 2016, and it was inaugurated in 2016, and the other campus is on the banks of Clyde River, the Riverside campus. Our purpose is to let learning flourish, and we have over 18 chartered and professional bodies accredited courses as well. Next slide, please. As I mentioned in the previous slide, we have over 110 overseas partners. This is one of our partners, Zhejiang Technical Institute of Economics, based in China. We started our partnership back in 2015, and since 2016, we send our group of lecturers 3 times every year to China to teach supply chain logistics. So Zhejiang Technical Institute of Economics is a public provincial vocational college, which is located in the city of Hangzhou. It is a UNESCO Univoc center as well. They enroll over 10,000 full-time students. They have an excellent record, 98% employment rate. And yeah. City of Hangzhou, that's where the headquarters of Alibaba is located, which is the largest online retailer of China. And there is no other places where you can study supply chain better than in that particular city. Although our partnership started in the focus of a joint diploma, delivering joint diploma for the certification of supply chain logistics, we do have other partnership with the same partner. We developed the curriculum for them. We had student exchange programs where we hosted 2 groups of students over the last 4 years. They visited Glasgow and had summer camp at our City of Glasgow College. We hosted 2 groups of teachers for teacher training programs at City of Glasgow College. They traveled here. We also offered them employability workshops where we sent our career advice team to China to train the students who is completing the course in CV writing, building confidence in essential skills, presentation skills, etc. like that. Recently, we started joined research ventures as well on working on publications together. Next slide, please. Our motto, our work is normally based on City Learning 4.0, which is aligned to Industry 4.0, which is pretty much like 21st century's advancement. We develop the materials on the basis of City Learning 4.0, where we match the materials to the industry standards. We use the modern pedagogical approaches, and also we include access, equality, and inclusion in all the curriculum. When I went to China back in 2017, that was my first trip to China, and I went to the classroom. Kind of very hard for me to be there and see that there was a group of students is actually not engaging in the classroom. And the ideology of me as a lecturer, when I moved from the commercial field to lectureship, I was actually motivated by looking at Albert Einstein's words. Education is not about learning facts, it's about training the minds to think. And how do you do that? The only method for training them to think is to engage them in the classroom activities. So we redesigned the assessment framework to bring the students out of their comfort zone, which historically they've been doing in China. It was predominantly blackboard exercises in there. So we redesigned the assessment framework for 80% of summative assessment and 20% of formative assessment on the basis of engagement in the classroom. All of a sudden, we started seeing some difference in the students. Now, the demography of the students who is in the class, if you look at it, it is about 90% of the students are not coming from the international schools. So their level of English is basic. So we need to work with the students to bring them out of their comfort zone. And we had a very good feedback from them. So the benefits we started seeing in the classroom as students started engaging with each other in the class. There's a lot of positivity in the classroom, and interpersonal skills, which is the key or the essential skill which is required for the industry, started building in the students as well. And we started seeing some confident speakers in the classroom. Next slide, please. How did we manage to bring that student engagement in? You can see that in the pictures. Well, if you look at Chinese students, normally they are always on their mobile phones, and it's very hard for you to make them to speak to each other. And just through the classroom activities, every day, we as a group of lecturers who travel there, we come back, sit together, and decide what to do next, something new on the next day. So classroom activities, we include new activities every day. We try to bring in supply chain games like make the box games or distribution games. We also create a virtual classroom supply chain where we assign a role of a supply chain partner for each student and make them think from the perspective of a supplier or a distributor or a customer. And that actually make them think what the market is like. We also make them do the individual presentations so that they can be confident in public speaking. And also we provide them opportunities for group works and group presentations as well. That actually provide them some kind of group activities and build their interpersonal skills, especially the listening skills is very important in our field as well. So, and also we occasionally create classroom debates. We offer them some supply chain topics and ask them to debate that topic from various perspectives that actually widen their knowledge from on that particular topic. Once again, coming from the ideology of making them train their mind to think. Next slide, please. Although I said everything was going well up until 2019, came 2020, like many other organizations across the world, we were also hit with challenges. The first one was face-to-face delivery cancellation. We couldn't go to China because of the global travel ban, and we were trying to analyze different options to manage the relationship as well. Now, the first thing it's required is the stakeholder buy-in. To whatever methods we are trying to apply, we need the stakeholder buy-in, whether it is from our partner or our internal partners as well, like our lecturers who's actually delivering. One of the biggest challenges, the time zones. You know, it's a 7 hours difference is the time zone what you're looking at. And again, in the previous slide, what I mentioned to you about the classroom dynamics, the positive vibe which we created while we were there in face-to-face, that changes as well when you do that remotely. There were cultural barriers that students there weren't that keen to be participating in there. And also the technological limitations. Some of the students were actually dialing in with their mobile phones, or they were dialing in from the dormitory where there was limitation with the internet as well. So these were the challenges we faced around last year. Next slide, please. Once again, as Benjamin Franklin quoted, out of adversity comes opportunity. Every time when we face a challenge, we try to bring out more solutions for it and try to overcome that. What were the solutions we offered? We set up a series of meetings with our partners and our internal stakeholders as well. We created an open dialogue to see what options we can apply so that we can actually manage this relationship going forward. Now, bear in mind that cancellation of face-to-face delivery or the cancellation of delivery could actually create a lag, because there were a set of students who were supposed to graduate last year, and also they are graduating this year. So a break in there could actually disrupt the flow of the course itself. So in order to do that, we analyzed various methods, whether it is on remote delivery or remote support or upload videos and then students support them. But all these things were options in there, but we went with the remote delivery. In order to do that, we need flexibility in the delivery team. Some of us, most of my team has to wake up 3:30 in the morning and then deliver the scores from our house. 6 hours of delivery from our house. And we try to create some regular breaks so that it will be tiring for the students and the lecturers equally, so that we try to give some breaks to do that as well. Created icebreaker sessions, group discussions. We also managed to put some instant quizzes so that we try to keep the students engaged in the classes, and we gave them virtual learning environment access as well, so that they can get the program before they come into the class. The impact: provided quality service. We managed to keep the business continuing. Again, it is adaptable to other projects as well. We received very good feedback from our students. We built more confidence in the students, and they all know that they will be graduating this year. 42 graduates this year in 2021, and so far we had about 170 students benefited out of this program. Thank you very much for listening to my story and case study there. And we have more other projects to offer for you. Please contact me in this email address. Thank you.
Jeef, thank you so much indeed. Really interesting to see how you've taken that City of Glasgow methodology around the world and how that can be used in ASEAN. So thanks so much indeed.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tristan Kemp, and he's Head of Commercial at ECITB Global. So over to you, Tristan, if you're there.
I am. Good morning, Jonathan. Thank you very much for that introduction and the opportunity to speak. Next slide, please. Good morning and good afternoon to you all. I hope you're keeping well in these very unusual and challenging times. My name's Tristan Kemp. I joined the Engineering Construction Industry Training Board, or ECITB, as Head of Commercial Operations in the middle of last year. What I'd like to do for the next few minutes is speak to you about the ECITB, what we already do in ASEAN countries, what we can offer, and then focus on a specific project that we support in Indonesia by way of a case study. Next slide, please. So what is the ECITB? Well, firstly, we're UK based. There are just under 90 of us, most of whom are involved in the UK facing part of the business. We're what's termed an arm's length body of the government. And what that means in short is that we are independent, but are answerable to the government's Department for Education. Now, our primary purpose is to support the development of the UK's engineering construction industry. work and its workforce, so that it meets the strategic needs of the government in supporting vital national infrastructure projects in the 8 sectors that are shown on this slide. But increasingly, though, we are also developing our commercial operations overseas. We support 8 sectors that you can see in front of you through the provision of training standards, designing course syllabuses, and sponsoring engineering apprenticeships, amongst other things. And we also offer, through our partner training providers, a wide range of industry-specific technical training, which leads on to more than 175 different qualifications. Whilst we focus on engineering construction industry, we find that many of our courses have applications in other sectors. So what do we do commercially? Well, we have a stringent selection process whereby training providers, wherever they may be, apply to become accredited by us. And once accredited, the training providers can apply for licenses that allows them to deliver ECITB training. We also provide consultancy and course development services. Next slide, please. So what about our overall international operations? Well, we've been operating overseas for 10 years now, or for over 10 years, and we currently operate in 25 countries and focus on 3 core areas at the moment. Southeast Asia is the primary one for us, but we also operate mainly in the Middle East and in East Africa. In total, we have 44 licensed training providers operating from 80 different locations. Next slide, please. So if we focus in on the ASEAN countries, my apologies, but there is a mistake on this slide. The map is correct, and as is the table on the right. However, you'll see that whilst there are 16 training providers currently operating in the region, there are 4, not 5. We're operating in 4, not 5 of the ASEAN countries. Between these providers, there are 29 training facilities operating in 6 of the countries. Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam are not currently represented, but of course we'd be delighted if they were. Perhaps unsurprisingly, most of the training delivered is to the oil and gas sector, but it is worth noting that most qualifications are actually in health and safety, which is transferable and usable in a wide range of sectors. Next slide, please. So what is it that we can offer? Well, I've already mentioned the licenses that we offer to training providers, but in addition, we can approve individual trainers, facilities and course content. We can assist with course design and development, and we offer consultancy services where we can assist startup training provider businesses and bring trainers together with government bodies, development agencies and large corporations. And I'll cover such an example of that when we move on to the case study. Of the other internationally recognised qualifications, I'd pick out the International Diploma, which is typically a 3-year course. A government-sponsored training academy in the Middle East, in Qatar, currently have a licence and run such a course. Now in its 4th year, it's delivered its first 100 graduates into Qatari industry last year, with another 100 due to graduate this year and every subsequent year. And we'd dearly love to be doing something like that in Southeast Asia. Next slide, please. To give you a flavour of some of the disciplines we're able to train and qualify, this slide has a selection, and you will be pleased to know that I'm not proposing to go through these now. But hopefully you might spot something that sparks your interest, and you can look at the others when the slides are made available after the webinar. What I would add here, though, is that because of the technical nature of many of the subjects, most courses do need to be taught in person and utilising physical equipment to learn upon. The ECITB, though, like everyone else, has had to adapt in the wake of the pandemic and is pushing ahead with e-learning for theory and knowledge elements of the courses wherever possible, and also adopting what's being called blended learning, which uses varying mixes of face-to-face and online learning. Next slide, please. So for our case study, I'd like to focus your attention on the Indonesian province of Papua Barat, or West Papua, located in the far east of Indonesia on the island of New Guinea. And in particular, we're going to focus on the administrative area of Bintuni, which is marked in red on the right-hand map, and it's wrapped around Bintuni Bay. Papua Barat is the 2nd least populous region of Indonesia. It's 50 times less densely populated than the Indonesian average. But worth noting, the population in the region has doubled since it became an autonomous province in 2003. In the small region of Bintuni, there is a population of 60,000, which is almost evenly split between 2 urbanisations, West and East Bintuni. Much of the remaining area is heavily forested, and although gas was first discovered in the bay as early as 1970, the economy was largely subsistence farming and agricultural. There were several explorations over the years, but it was only in the 90s, and sufficiently large gas fields were discovered that were deemed viable. Next slide, please. Hopefully you can see me now. My camera was off, sorry. However, the discovery of gas is of little use to the people of Bintuni and Papa Bharat unless the local population benefit directly from it. The region has had issues, and under the United Nations Human Development Index, a composite index used to rank countries based on life expectancy, education, and per capita income, it's the second lowest in Indonesia. But the Indonesian government recognized that and have seized a great opportunity to bring prosperity to the region. Next slide, please. So in spite of the region having such large gas reserves, estimated to be close to 800 billion cubic meters, it wasn't until 2007 that a BP-led consortium was granted permission by the government to embark on the Tangguh project, now known as Tangguh LNG. By 2009, BP and its partners started construction and gas extraction, requiring a workforce on multiple sites in the region for 10,000 people. In 2017, the Indonesian government set the consortium the task of ensuring that 85% of that workforce were from the local population by 2029. And to achieve that, BP started its own long apprenticeship scheme to provide the highest skilled engineers to the project. But meanwhile, a large training provider in Indonesia, and happily an ECITB approved one at that, called Petrotechno, looked at how it might assist in training the rest of the skilled workforce requirements. So with the ECITB working hand in hand with BP and Petrotechno, and in consultation with the Indonesian Ministry of Education and the BNSP, which is the government's national certification agency, a solution was devised. Next slide, please. So the solution, well, by establishing the requirement with all the interested stakeholders and through engagement with local government too, a plan evolved on how best to train large numbers of people to a relatively high level of skill in multiple disciplines. The solution deemed best to deliver the outputs required would involve a 3 to 6 month residential course delivering face-to-face instruction and covering multiple subject areas, including health and safety, scaffolding, rigging, pipe fitting, welding, etc. In addition, evening classes would instruct the students in English, maths and science, and the residential nature of the course helped develop life skills such as timekeeping, managing money and interpersonal development skills. Whilst the course curriculum was being developed, 3 potential sites for the training to take place were identified by Petrotechno, and the government, the Indonesian government, kindly donated the land and provided much needed grants to enable the facilities to be built. In the end, this all took less than a year to mobilise. And so what actually happened? Next slide, please. Well, Petrotechno has provided 2 courses a year since 2018, including last year with the added complications that that brought. After an interview and selection process, each course has seen 100 local 16 to 21-year-olds start at one of the 3 sites. They work 6 days a week and are allowed home for 1 day if they're able to, or otherwise they get the day off at the facility. The students complete training in the disciplines that I've already mentioned and generally achieve level 3 vocational training qualifications in each of those disciplines. These qualifications are nationally accredited by the Indonesian government and recognised internationally because they are issued by the ECITB. Of the 6 courses now completed, 573 have graduated and 25 of the remaining 27 have been granted places on future courses. Of all those that have graduated, 99% have found full-time employment on the project with the companies that are shown on the right of this slide. The graduations are large affairs, with the students' families attending and the speaker a representative of the government, which has been the Minister of Education on 2 occasions and the President's Chief of Staff. Next slide, please. On this slide, I've got 3 quotes, but the one at the top I'd like you to focus on. This is from 19-year-old Oscar, who was one of the first students to graduate. I'd urge you to take 2 minutes to watch Oscar's story on YouTube. The address is on the red speech bubble. Having lost both his parents and no way to financially support his or school his younger brother, the course led to full-time employment in a job that now pays in double the national average wage in Indonesia. A powerful example of what vocational training can achieve for an individual, but also for the local economy. Put simply, it changes lives for the better. Next slide, please. I hope I've given you a flavour of what it is we can do and a cast iron example of how vocational training can equip people to work. Ultimately, it adds to a country's most valuable resource, its people. I'm very happy to take questions now or when Jonathan directs, but thank you very much.
Fantastic, Tristan. Thank you very much. And argue with the programme that has a 99% employment outcome at the end. I'm just going to ask Ranjith to come back online as well. We have a few questions that we're just going to share with everybody and quickly go through. We appreciate we're already on the 1:30, but we'll probably take another 5 minutes or so of your time, so do stay with us. First question is actually for Ranjith. What kind of partnerships do City of Glasgow College create?
We create partnership across capacity building, curriculum development, so quite a lot of bespoke training programs. So we have a variety of partnership which we can go across international partners. I mean, we do have educational partners, we have government partners, NGOs. So any partnership which is required for the success of that.
Okay, so great. You're not restricted to just one
We are not
cohort.
restricted.
Okay.
No.
And I guess the same question to Tristan. You know, ECITB clearly are working globally, but you know, what kind of partnerships with organisations are you developing?
We look to develop with employers, so the large corporations are doing whatever they're doing. We develop partnerships with the training providers, of course, and we bring them on board. But we're also looking to discuss with local governments and also the national governments in the countries in where we're operating to try and find out what it is their priorities are, and ensuring that we're able to support them. It's very much similar to the model in the UK, but you know, we want to sort of try and help them and so they can upskill their workforce.
Great, thank you. And both of you really, I mean, you're working remote, I guess, at the moment. And so one of the questions, it quite simply says, you know, what are the biggest one or two challenges that you've experienced over the last year, and how have you got around that? You've got, you know, a minute to explain a challenge. So have you got a challenge each?
I will go first if that's okay, Tristan. Well, the biggest challenge itself is the time zone. When you work with ASEAN countries, you know, especially when you want to deliver, if it is not a remote support, if it is a remote delivery, then you need lecturers or training providers to be awake around that time to suit the time zones. But then, you know, it is not something which never been done before. So that sounds it's easy to be done, but it's challenging when you work from home as well. And technology is another issue. The technology support when you work with other countries, you know, they don't have that bandwidth it requires to come in online. So that could be a challenge when you have a class of 25 students. Half the students might be missing from the class sometimes. You never know.
Okay, thanks, Ranjith. And over to Tristan.
I think it's being able to deliver our courses which are technical in nature, which have to really be done face to face. We have done it with blended learning in a couple of examples, but that's taken time, and those courses have to be approved. We also find issues that when it's between different language groups, then that's difficult across a screen as well, because you can't always get the message across in the same way. So that's been a challenge, but you know, everyone's in the same boat there.
And we've got a couple of additional questions. So for Ranjith, how do City of Glasgow manage or measure the effectiveness of projects, and how do you calculate that feedback?
Well, we use various measures, to be honest. We send a project evaluation form to our project partners at the end of each project. But throughout the course, we try to measure the success or the delivery, the quality of the delivery by giving them feedbacks, online feedbacks, the surveys we get from students and from equally from our partners as well. And we take the feedbacks on board, and then we try to make it even better for them. Okay, thanks.
And Tristan, question for you on here. What were the challenges in implementing an apprenticeship program in Indonesia? Clearly yours is not quite an apprenticeship in the same way that we might have here in the UK. And how did you overcome some of those challenges?
Okay, well, the biggest challenge initially is getting all the stakeholders together. You know, everyone has a part to play in this, and you need to get those together. So getting your way in when you're from another country, i.e. in this instance, we're from UK, getting in with the Indonesian government, we need a sort of a link in there. And that's where the UK government has helped us through the Department of International Trade, you know, the British Council, and you know, has opened some doors for us, but bringing those together. And then it's also, but in our particular instance, it wasn't too difficult because actually, as I said in my piece, there the employment levels in the area were pretty low anyway, and you had this massive project, so people were itching to take part in this and wanting to be a part of it. So that's been the biggest challenge, but it's getting the local government's buy-in on this is the key challenge to get over. And I'm not saying they're a hurdle, but they've got to be involved from the start.
Great, thank you. I have actually been asked by two of the viewers today if you could put your contact details, Ranjith and Tristan, into the chat so that people can pick them up from there. That'd be really great. Just quick question then. How can my organisation become accredited with ECITB?
Contact myself. I will put that individual, that company, in contact with our business development manager for overseas. And we will then send you an application form, and we can also discuss what your requirements are. So yeah, send me an email and I can certainly pass your application on or your inquiry on.
Fantastic, thank you. And how do you both engage with employers and industry to build your programs?
Well, for the ECITB, we have a large network of international employers within the UK already, so they give us links in. But we've been doing this now for 35 years and 10 years overseas. So we go and knock on doors, and we go and ask them questions. But actually, we also there are other ways in which we get our information. There are other organisations that provide information about the projects that are going on in the world, and so we look to the ones that we want to target and go towards those.
We at City of Glasgow College, we have over 1,500 industry partners, and as I mentioned in my slides, we do provide modern apprenticeship programs, and this is across public and private sector. We also have flexible workforce development fund, which we work across different partners across UK. So we are very much in touch with industry.
Thank you. Are the qualifications and training that you both provide globally recognised and supporting cross-border migration?
Yes.
For the ECITB, absolutely. There's only there's a handful of players in our industry, but yes, we're well renowned.
Slightly different question here. Are there any opportunities to work with City of Glasgow or ECITB to develop online learning environments?
Yes, we do provide
to transfer your training from offline to online, given the current pandemic.
Yes, we do provide digital learning training as well as part of our CPD in our college. Our Learning and Teaching Academy has developed a suite of webinars and training programs, and to support our lecturers, which is equally, we can provide that to any other partners who is joining us.
We are developing online and e-learning, but as I said in my presentation, we're slightly restricted by the nature of the courses that we run, which tend to be very much hands-on and actually need face-to-face tuition and experience on the equipment itself. But where we can, we are doing e-learning, and we're happy to have discussions with people about that.
Thanks so much indeed. Final question that I have this morning is: are there any? Do any of your training programs include competence assessment? So do you test the skills that come out the back of your training programs?
Yes, most of our programs are tested, and mostly we work with the industry as well to find the gaps in the job market, skill gaps in the job market, and then we try to include that in our curriculum as well, and we can test. We train the students with that skills and test them for that competency.
Thank you, Tristan.
All the skills that we offer courses on are all assessed and all tested, and so they end in a qualification. That's the purpose of them. Absolutely, 100%.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. We don't seem to have any more questions. I'd like to first of all thank both of our speakers from City of Glasgow College, Ranjith, and from ECITB, Tristan. Really useful to hear about what you do and how that's applied. Just a reminder to everybody that we have recorded the session, so you will be able to watch playback. All you need to do is drop me an email and I will make sure that you are sent the link to that. Also, for the next few days, don't forget we have 2 more suppliers from the UK showcasing their ASEAN work. So 2 tomorrow and then 2 on Friday. Please do join us for those sessions. But it just leaves me to thank everybody for coming online to listen to today's presentations, and to thank again our speakers, Ranjith from City of Glasgow College in the UK and ECITB Global in the UK as well. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.